Alright, today I'm going to talk about the left and right brain, how your brain is split down the middle and you have a left and right brain, how it correlates to the word Jew, and how it correlates to the fact you are under hypnosis, and what the difference between a Jew mind and a Gentile actually is, the hidden meaning of that. Alright, most people operate under a left brain. You always hear the saying that we only use 10% of our brains. Well, that is true, and the majority of that is from the left side to those who are not awakened. Uh, in the Bible, it tells you the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho falling down. This is an allegory for him unlocking his right brain, right side of his brain, because basically your brain is split into two sections. He broke that wall to where he used his whole mind, which is where we get the word Jew from. A Jew simply just means wise man. It is not a race of people, as uh, one of the biggest misconceptions I can think of. This is why it says in the Bible that Jews came from the east, because the east is the right side of the brain. And talk about how you are under control under your Gentile brain, which is basically you are purposely restricted. Um, you, the biggest conspiracy in this world is spiritual warfare, the deliberate dumbing down, keeping you from your full potential, the knowledge of self, keeping us all. People do not know. I don't care who you are. Humans right now, the entire world really does not know our purpose and what we are doing here. What are we supposed to do? That is done intentionally by the elite cabal, um, to make us not think. They want us as dumb as they can possibly make us. But luckily, about 0.0000001% of us are awake and understand this. So I'm going to read you a little article pertaining to this. There was a teacher who conducted a experiment in hypnosis and NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. Hypnosis, about which I will discuss later because it is an important issue on the topic we are reading here. Hypnosis is an altered state of consciousness accessible through trance, which is a total relaxation of the body so the physical sensations disappear to favor those of the mind. This status allows the person to access one's unconscious resources in order to facilitate healing, exploit new resources, or reprogram one's brain. This can only be done if your right mind is open, by the way. Alright. Now I'm going to go down a little further and read some more stuff on this. This is called A Story of Brains. The human brain has two hemispheres, the right and the left, which are separated by interconnected by the corpus callosum, a network of nervous fibers similar to a network of telephone lines, which serves as a bridge of communications between the two sides. Alright, this story right there that I just read is given to you in an allegory in the Bible about the 12 tribes of Israel, because there is 12 cranial nerves in the brain. Israel pertaining to the Jews, Jews meaning wise man, which uses his right brain. That's why there's 12 tribes of Israel, because it's talking about the 12 cranial nerves of the brain. The left brain is the state of awareness that we use in our daily life to make all sorts of conscious and logical decisions. It is masculine and active. The right brain is passive, receptive, and impressionable. We can only access it when we stop thinking through meditation or hypnosis. The problem is to develop one hemisphere more than the other, which one unbalances the whole. The dominant hemisphere takes power and blocks the dominated one, which cannot anymore assume its role. So what this is saying is right now humanity's right brain, most of them, is blocked off, completely blocked off. It's like I said before, the global elite had to come up with a plan. They cannot physically enslave us all. So you know what they came up with? Well, then we have to mentally and spiritually enslave them. And it's really at our own, we're willingly doing this. I don't want to say that 100% because most people are blind and just don't know this is going on. So of course they have no control over it because they don't know any better. All right. In our Western society, most of the time, if not always, we opt for the rational, organized, limited left brain that follows the imposed rules. We leave aside our artistic, creative, and spontaneous aspects. We think more than necessary before acting, to the point that we no longer neither natural nor genuinely nor spontaneously. If we do not operate with our entire being, then we end up with intractable problems. An imbalance between the right and left brain can cause a lack of concentration, but also the difficulty to determine what is important or not. We receive tons of information without knowing how to eliminate those that are unimportant. All right. Let's go down here further and see what it says. Alright, we're going to talk more about the Gentile mind. Now, curiously, all the potentials, all the gifts, all your abilities, and psychic and occult powers, and the overall vision of a person develops through one's right brain. Anything that makes this characteristics of a Gentile, one's divine potential for genius, for power, and for creativity is logged in one's right brain. I'm not saying the other one doesn't count. I'm just saying that one's gifts are in the right brain and can only be developed in the right brain. The left brain manages, if I may say, the daily life, the indispensable routine, but it is limited. Indeed, this is not derogatory. It's just that the left hemisphere does not have access to higher dimensions, the spiritual ones, like the right hemisphere. I repeat, all the creativity, all the gifts, and all the psychic powers of the Gentiles can only be developed by their right brain. Alright, now I'm going to get into operating of the Jewish mind. Remember, I just said Jewish simply means wise man. It says that in the Bible. So quit thinking it's a race of people. It is necessarily at this moment of my testimony to point out the fundamental difference between a Jewish and a Gentile brain that I have myself experienced. The Jews have highly developed left brain, and the seat of their all well-known intelligence. The vast majority of them are around 135 IQ or higher, but they have a poorly developed right brain, and above which all can be developed only until a specific level well below that of the Gentiles. The difference in mental operating, which can also be called mentally, although the term reduces the problem, is that Jews and Gentiles cannot understand each other even if they speak the same language. The definition, understanding that they have words with their underlying concepts, are deeply conflicting because diametrically opposed. This is the reason why we are often witnesses to dialogues of the deaf. Their mental design is just different. So when Jews came to power, they gradually built a society that based on their mental operating. thus oriented left brain with all these characteristics. It makes sense because one can organize things only in relation to what one is and how one functions. Doing so, they have gradually forced the Gentiles to operate only with their left brain. The more limited, as we have seen, and above all which is not their strengths as opposed to the Jews. So, little by little, the Gentiles have lost contact with their right brains, their genius, and especially their psychic and occult powers and their gods. Thus, not using it anymore, the most essential part of their brain, it has become atrophied, like a muscle which is no longer in use. Consequently, their degeneration began. What was stated as the purpose of the Jews. Before going on, I want to clarify that each brain has its own kind of intelligence, but of course there are different nature. This has for consequence that the Jews have a real intelligence, but much more visible because the society has been organized by them, so to speak, for them, their model, the left brain, while the Gentile intelligence is linked to the potential and characteristics of one's right brain. So to summarize what we have seen, the Jews have created a mental warfare against us in our brains. All right. It says here, the Jews therefore led a commando raid into enemy territory, the right brain of the Gentiles, to take away their true spiritual potential and bring it into Jewish control. The raid was conducted via the creation of Christian religions, and especially through a very powerful Kabbalistic black magic, which since has never ceased and is still maintained by the daily prayers of the Orthodox Jews and rabbis. Indeed, their job is the curse of the Gentiles, and they get paid for this by the whole Jewish community. Even in the meantime, the Gentiles became Christians. And I'm going to explain another way they do this that's not even mentioned in this reading here, is through the use of fluoride, which attacks another part of the brain called the pineal gland or the third eye. They put fluoride in your drinking water, which calcifies your pineal gland, your third eye, and keeps it dormant, ever from being able to awaken. Don't believe me? Research it. So I could just keep reading and reading and reading, but I'm not going to read much more. Okay, I'm going to read this. The Jewish brain, aka the hive mind. I've heard this term a lot. It's used in the occult, the hive mind. If you see that the Gentile mind has been totally absorbed into the global Jewish brain, it's reality that explains that many of you feel like living in a matrix, as in the famous movie The Matrix. In fact, the Hollywood Jewish movie gives us plenty of information about the manipulated reality of our world and how the human history since the Jews have invaded planet Earth, about the conditions under which was done, and to finish about the future of humanity. I've said this a million times. All Hollywood movies and everything the global elite is doing to us, they do not hide it. They blatantly put it in your face, but most people are too stupid to see that. They tell you everything they are doing to us. They put it in your Hollywood movies. They don't hide anything. Like I said before, when the shit hits the fan, you go, why didn't you tell us so? We've been telling you. They've been telling you, but you didn't give a fuck. Alright, I'm going to get more into this at a later time because my food has arrived in the driveway. So I hope you learned something today, folks. Take care and have a good day.